The sun was bleeding orange across the high desert of California, the kind of late afternoon light that turns chrome into fire and leather into armor. Interstate 40 stretched out like a black ribbon through the emptiness, and the low, guttural thunder of a dozen Harley-Davidsons rolled ahead of it. They rode in perfect formation, 2 by 2, the patches on their backs unmistakable even from a mile away. The winged death's head of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, Oakland Mother Chapter. Big Red McAllister rode point. 6'7" in his boots, red beard spilling over the collar of his cut, arms thick as bridge cables wrapped around the ape, hanger bars of his '63 panhead. To his right was Tommy Toot Hone Ramirez, half Irish, half Mexican, skin inked so completely it looked like he was wearing a mural instead of a shirt. Behind them came the rest, Gravedigger, Sweet Mary, Doc, Little Mike, Chainsaw, and the prospect they all just called Kid. They were coming back from a charity run in Barstow, 300 bikes strong that morning, but only this small, tight crew had peeled off to take the old route home through the Mojave, the one nobody used anymore except truckers and ghosts. The growl of the pack echoed off the sandstone cliffs, a sound so deep it rattled teeth and loosened kidney stones. They were doing 80, 5, maybe 90, when Big Red's right hand flicked up in the signal. Formation slowed instantly, engines dropping to a throaty idle as they coasted toward the shoulder. Toot-Hone lifted his shades, squinting into the glare. "You see that?" he asked, voice rough as broken glass. Big Red didn't answer at first. His eyes, pale blue and cold as glacier water, were locked on something 100 yards ahead, just off the asphalt where the desert started. A tiny figure in a faded pink dress stood alone beside a rusted-out Chevy Impala with the hood up and all 4 doors hanging open like broken wings. The girl couldn't have been more than 7. She was jumping up and down, waving both skinny arms, and even from this distance they could hear her crying over the wind. Big Red killed his engine. One by one, the others followed. The sudden silence felt heavier than the noise. "Car's dead," Gravedigger muttered, swinging a treat, runk leg over his seat. "Ain't no one else around for 20 miles. Sweet Mary, the only woman in this crew and tougher than half the men, was already moving. Her braids swung like ropes as she strode across the pavement, boots crunching on gravel. The little girl saw her coming and took a half-step back, eyes wide with terror at the sight of the leather, the chains, the colors. Mary slowed, raised both hands palms out. "Hey, baby girl," she called softly. "It's okay, we're not gonna hurt you." The child's face was streaked with tears and dust. Her lower lip trembled. "My mommy won't wake up," she sobbed, pointing toward the Impala's open driver door. Every biker felt the same cold spike in the gut. Big Red moved faster than a man his size had any right to. He reached the car in 5 long strides and looked inside. A woman in her early 30s lay slumped against the steering wheel, skin gray, lips blue. No pulse when he pressed 2 fingers to her neck. Overdose, maybe, heat stroke, didn't matter right now. "Doc," he barked. Doc, real name Daniel Kowalski, ex-combat medic from Fallujah, dropped his saddlebag and ran, black medical kit already in hand. The rest fanned out without a word. Toot-Hone scooped the little girl into his arms before she could see any more. She buried her face in his cut and cried harder, tiny fists clutching the death's. Head patch like it was a teddy bear. "What's your name, Mija?" he asked, voice softer than anyone had ever heard it. "Emily," she whimpered. "Mommy said we were going to Grandma's in Flagstaff. Then she got real sleepy and the car stopped and she won't wake up." Doc was already working on the woman chest compressions, rescue breaths, shouting updates. "No pulse, no respiration. Looks like opioid OD, got Narcan." The bikers formed a living wall around the car, shielding Emily from the sight. Sweet Mary pulled a bandana from her pocket, the silk one with little skulls printed on it, and tied it around Emily's eyes like a blindfold for a party game. "We're gonna play a game, okay, sweetheart," Mary said, forcing cheer into her voice. "You ever ridden on a big motorcycle?" Emily shook her head against Toot-Hone's chest. "Well, today's your lucky day." Big Red stepped back from the Impala, face grim. He locked eyes with Doc and gave the smallest shake of his head. Doc kept working anyway, sweat pouring, cursing under his breath. 30 more seconds, a minute, 2. Finally Doc sat back on his heels and looked up at the sky, defeated. She's gone. The desert wind picked up, hot and dry and merciless. Little Mike, the quiet one with the handlebar mustache and the teardrop tattoos, spoke for the first time all day. "We can't leave the kid here." No one argued. Big Red looked at Emily, still clinging to Toot. Then at the horizon where the sun was starting to sink behind the mountains. Night in the Mojave drops fast and cold. Coyotes, worse things. He made the decision in the space between one heartbeat and the next. "She rides with us." A Toot. Owen shifted Emily higher on his hip. "Where we taking her, please?" "There's a truck stop about 30 miles east. Got a diner, pay phone, sheriff's substation. We get her there, we call it in." Gravedigger spat into the dust. "Cops see us roll in with a kid whose mom just awed in the backseat. They'll have us in cuffs before we park." Big Red's eyes narrowed. "Then we don't give 'em the chance to ask stupid questions. We drop her safe, we leave a note, we disappear. Nobody knows it was us." Sweet Mary was already rummaging through her saddlebags. She came up with a spare leather jacket 3 sizes too big for Emily and wrapped it around the girl like a blanket. The sleeves swallowed her hands completely. Emily peeked out from the blindfold. "Are you angels?" she asked in a tiny voice. "Two." Owen actually laughed, a sound like gravel in a blender. "Not even close, kid." But Big Red knelt so he was eye level with her. "Today we are," he said, "just for you." They moved like a military unit. Chainsaw and Kid closed the doors on the Impala, pocketed the keys so no one would mess with the body before authorities arrived. Doc wrote a quick note on a page torn from his field manual. "Overdose, Narcan administered, mother deceased, child unharmed, taken to safety," and tucked it under the windshield wiper with a $20 bill for the tow truck driver who finds this. Then they lifted Emily onto Tone's bike, right in front of him, her little legs barely reaching the pegs. Sweet Mary climbed on behind her, sandwiching the child between 2 walls of leather and muscle. Emily's pink dress fluttered like a flag against the black. Big Red fired up first. The panhead barked to life, and the rest followed. 12 bikes, 12 riders, 1 tiny passenger who had just lost everything and didn't fully understand it yet. They rolled out slow, keeping it under 60 so they wouldn't scare her. The formation tightened protectively around Owen's bike. Every one of them knew the optics were terrible. A little girl in the arms of the most infamous outlaw club in America, but none of them cared. The patches on their backs had never felt heavier or more necessary. Emily's tears dried somewhere around mile marker 217. The vibration of the engine, the warmth of the bodies around her, the steady heartbeat she could feel through Owen's cut. It all worked like a strange lullaby. She fell asleep with her cheek pressed to the Hells Angel's death's head, drool making a dark spot on the embroidered wings. Sweet Mary looked over the child's head and met Owen's eyes. He was crying too, silently, tears cutting clean tracks through the road dust on his cheeks. He didn't bother wiping them away. The truck stop appeared out of the darkness like a mirage. Neon beer signs, rows of 18-wheelers, the smell of diesel and frying onions. They rolled in slow, engines idling low so they wouldn't wake Emily. Big Red killed his bike first and walked straight into the diner like he owned the place. The waitress, a woman named Dolores who'd seen everything twice, took one look at his cut and reached for the phone under the counter. Big Red raised both hands. "Not here for trouble, ma'am. Got a little girl outside needs help. Her mommy didn't make it. We brought her this far. That's all." Dolores's eyes flicked past him to the window where 11 more angels stood around a bike with a sleeping child wrapped in leather. Something in her face softened. "Back booth's empty," she said. "I'll call the sheriff." Big Red nodded once. They carried Emily inside like she was made of spun glass. Sweet Mary sat in the corner booth and kept the girl in her lap even after she woke up, confused and blinking under fluorescent lights. Dolores brought a glass of orange juice and a plate of pancakes without being asked. Emily ate like she hadn't seen food in days, syrup dripping down her chin. The sheriff's deputy arrived 20 minutes later, a young guy named Martinez, who clearly wasn't ready for the sight of 12 Hell's Angels drinking coffee and passing a stuffed bear someone had dug out of a saddlebag. Big Red met him at the door, hands visible, found her on the side of 40. He said simply, "Mother Odd, we got her safe. That's the whole story." Martinez looked past him to Emily, who was now playing with the salt shaker while Sweet Mary braided her tangled hair. "Something in the deputy's training manual didn't cover this. You want to give statements?" he asked. Big Red smiled without humor. "We were never here, deputy. They left the same way they arrived. Quiet, orderly, engines barely above a whisper." Dolores watched them go, then looked down at the $20 bill Big Red had left on the counter. Written on it in black Sharpie were the words, "Tell her someday angels wear leather." Back on the interstate, the formation felt different. Lighter, somehow. They rode west under a sky full of stars, wind whipping away the smell of pancakes and little girl shampoo. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, somewhere past Amboy, Gravedigger's voice crackled over the CB. "You know they're gonna turn this into one of those viral stories, Hell's Angels save child. Gonna make us look like damn Care Bears. Let him," Big Red said. His voice carried the weight of a man who just remembered why the patch mattered in the first place. "Some days you ride for the Brotherhood, some days you ride for the road, and some days you ride for a little girl who needed angels and got us instead." Two-Tone laughed, the sound raw and real. "Kid's gonna grow up telling people the devil himself gave her a ride on his Harley and bought her pancakes." A Sweet Mary's voice came next, soft and fierce. "Good, let her tell it. Let the whole world hear it." They opened the throttles then, 12 bikes roaring into the night, death's heads gleaming under the moon. And if anyone had been close enough to see, they might have noticed that every single one of them was smiling. Because sometimes, just sometimes, the worst of us get to be the best thing that ever happens to someone. And that, my friends, is a true story. One the newspapers never got quite right. One the internet turned into a meme with crying eagles and photoshopped halos. But one that 12 outlaw bikers will carry to their graves. If this story touched your heart the way it touched mine, please hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to remember there's still good in this world. And don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Soul Stories for more real tales of unexpected heroes. Turn on the bell so you never miss a reminder that even in the darkest places, light finds a way. Ride safe, love hard, and I'll see you in the next one.